Welcome back to Metal Gear Solid. Alright, so now we're back, baby. Let's go on.
System's being jammed.
Well, remember, tight space doesn't work in tight spaces like Mailing said. Alright.
Because I guess the Wi-Fi isn't very strong here.
Oh, fuck. Alright, so... like Theo has been saying, this game takes a lot from the previous game, and we're about to see another example of that. Just like in the first game, you had to climb a massive row of stairs while being chased by enemies.
Well, it's not quite a ladder, but it'll do.
I mean, it doesn't help. We can't really see the enemies.
Snakes and ladders.
You can see them, though. It's just that you can see them, though. It's just that it is true that like if this game was indeed to be remade today, we probably should have gone for a different type of camera angle. Definitely.
The fact that there was so much homaging or at least retracing steps from MG2 was something that Johnny, if I remember correctly, someone called me Johnny pointed out in his review, could have been considered a bit of a point of contention in a sense that it makes potentially question, how much, considering how much there is in the game, if it's really just genuine retracing or it maintains, it's almost a carbon copy just by switching off characters and plot elements.
I will argue it still has plenty of... Well, for example, the story is entirely different in Metal Gear 2. That's one thing, by the way. There's also the sniper duels. There's no sniper duels in Metal Gear 2, so that's new. The boss battle against Ocelot, I will argue, is something that doesn't really have a direct equivalent in Metal Gear 2.
In general, all the bosses, because even in MG2, due to the limitations of the console, even the boss fights were, limited by that. Like the close, if I recall, I already forgot if it was that or in the first one, where the extent of a boss fight was to just, place some mines on a predetermined path and wait the boss to actually stumble onto them. So.
It's one of those things where. Yes, it's one of those things about, for example, the whole, like, you can kind of argue that Final Fantasy V the story took a lot from Final Fantasy III's story, because it has the same, these 4 people found this crystal and they were given the ability to change jobs, and now they must go on a quest as the Warriors of Light so they can banish the darkness and bring back the light, because technically the premises are the same, but the actual characters, the actual plot developments, the actual storylines, then the actual themes and stuff like that are very different in both games, basically.
Funny enough, what I'm not hearing normally, people comparing it to 3, when it comes to 5, in general, what they mention instead is that the story is something that feels like it's written with Mad Libs.
It kind of is. Mind you,
but I hate the idea you have a good point in similarities, because similar with this was a property that was mostly well received also in Final Fantasy V not really, but when it came out in the West, it was well received, but the West did not have much of a comparison to do with the property that this was retracing their steps on, because at that point it wasn't available in their country, so did not really have a field. So again, I do wonder if by the time of release, the West actually had known, or at least had the capacity of playing those games, if they would have been potentially a bit more harsh.
The same thing happens with this game, because remember, before 2004, with the subsistence release of Metal Gear Solid 3, basically sure it's the final mix equivalent of a Metal Gear thing. Before Metal Gear Solid 3 subsistence, most people hadn't even play the MSX duology. Like the first Metal Gear.
Say people have played.
The first Metal Gear had a limited release in Europe, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say that not a lot of Europeans, you know.
Oh, you're telling me that no European, used the powerful MSX? It was all over the place. Clearly.
So, considering we haven't really heard much of anything regarding that particular release, I'm going to go on a wild guess and say that not a lot of people it didn't really set Europe on fire, if you get my drift.
I think what Drova was saying is that at best you had people playing the NES version, which, okay, while having the basic plot point, it can pass off as a different game in a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I will say this, maybe a fair enough people got to play Metal Gear 1. Like, at least had a substantial people in America definitely getting to play it. As for Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, for some reason, that never came.
No, well, remember, my guess is that the European release of Metal Gear 1 probably wasn't successful enough for Konami to consider it viable. Probably.
No. I mean, consider this. It sold well enough that Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake's Revenge was a thing, so I really have no idea why they never brought over Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
Well, that's the thing, Joe. Remember, what they did with that was that Konami just saw, okay, people in America really liked the NES port, so let's get the NES porting team to make their own OG Metal Gear game without Kojima's involvement. That was always the problem, I mean,
so even back then, Konami kind of had the wrong idea.
Yeah, maybe what people want Konami is the actual sequel made by the creator of the franchise. You didn't think that, did you?
Mind you, Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge is not by any means bad. It's just one of those cases where, on its own, it's fine, but when you have the significantly better Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake to compare it to, it kind of pales.
It's not. It's a fine game on its own merits, but it's not. But as a Metal Gear game, no, it does not work. It doesn't have any
Like I said, it's particularly worse when you have to compare it to Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, which is just leagues ahead.
Ooh.
There's a reason why Konami never re-released the NES duology.
Which is kind of a shame in Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake's Revenge's case. Like, as for the original NES port of Metal Gear 1, we got the MSX version via Substance.
Alright, I'm sure nothing wrong will happen getting to that door.
In fact, speaking of callbacks, we're about to get another boss battle callback. Now, this is an actual boss battle. It is clearly, because remember, in the original Metal Gear 2, so in the proper Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, we did fight.
Well, shit.
Oh, here it comes.
A Hind D. Or if you prefer, a helicopter, if you don't know what it is.
We did got a briefing a couple of parts ago mentioning specifically that it felt weird that the terrorists had a Russian aircraft.
It was apparently a helicopter good enough to take out 2 fighter jets, though. So
exactly. It was stolen. It was stolen from. In fact, Wibbs, now that I think about it, I wouldn't be surprised if he took inspiration from GoldenEye for this particular plot point. Considering.
I said GoldenEye earlier.
Oh, did you? Okay, sorry.
Really, Liquid?
You're not going any far. Die!
Come on, Liquid. Fight me like a man. Like, seriously?
And seriously, come up with better lines.
Come on, Liquid. Plenty of people have already called.
If I'm clearly the inferior brother as you claim, well, how come you feel like you need a Hind D to take me down?
I guess he figures that he's not worth beating him down with his own hands.
Or are you compensating for something, maybe?
Also, it's funny that you mentioned the influence maybe from GoldenEye, because as me, Jova, and Lives commented on that movie, we kind of felt that the movie Rock also felt like a prototype plot for this particular game.
I know, right? A Michael Bay film of all things. Mind you,
it kind of came around at the same time.
That's the thing.
It's clearly not even a case of, someone watched the other's work.
That's the tragedy of that, Jova, is that before Pearl Harbor, Michael Bay's movies were fine. But then...
Oh yeah, no. The Rock is absolutely fantastic.
Sure.
I still argue Armageddon is not really that great.
Oh, no, well, yeah, true. Armageddon is not great either. Okay, before Armageddon, his movies were, at worst, just fine. But then he took the wrong feedback he should have taken from Armageddon and Pearl Harbor. Okay, fine, these movies were my most profitable, so I'm just gonna go bigger, more bombastic, more explosions. And he completely...
It might have also been too into becoming tools by the evolving of the technology, hence why the overuse of CGI.
Very much so. I'm curious, was he behind the third Bad Boys film?
Dwibs, do you know about that?
If I had to wager, probably a producer at best.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was at the very least. He was probably at the very least there as a producer, because if I remember correctly, I think he was there as an executive producer for Bumblebee, even though he had nothing to do with the movie.
Let me check.
Okay. To give him credit with Bumblebee, while he was an executive producer, he did do the noble cause of keeping the big boys at Paramount from executive meddling.
Yeah,
It's
true.
kind of like what Kojima did with Castlevania Lord of Shadows.
Yeah, true, with Mercury Steam, yeah.
It's too dangerous. That Hind is aiming at Snake, and he'll need to use...
Yeah, so yeah, like the Colonel said, we're gonna have to repel, we have no choice, because, yeah, we're basically sitting ducks up here for the Hindy.
This is insane.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, no, he did not direct Bad Boys Life. That was Adil and Bilal.
Okay.
It's hard for me to say if he's had a return to form like Steven Spielberg has. Let's see.
I haven't seen Ambulance.
Seen Ambulance yet.
Me neither.
From what I've been hearing from the few reviews that I've seen, it's alright, actually. Nothing too spectacular, but not even actually garbage. Anyway, in checking, no, it seems that Bad Boys for Life doesn't really have Michael Bay involved. But with the producers, one of them is Jerry Bruckheimer for some reason.
Fortunately, Nastasha, I do have one. It's just that I need to first rappel down.
You know, speaking of The Rock, now that makes me consider Nicolas Cage as Solid Snake.
No.
Why not? Come on. Try and tell me that he would not turn in a wonderfully over-the-top
I would
performance.
rather Nicolas Cage as Liquid. It kind of fits for
Oh
the
yeah.
bad shit.
No, exactly. If you're gonna put Nicolas Cage as a snake,
What do you mean
no,
a
have him be
snake?
Liquid.
Like, come on.
No,
He
Liquid would be
really
perfect
writes
for Nicolas
itself.
Cage. I'm gonna have
Or
to go
Psycho
Teo.
Mantis if you really want to.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so Nicolas Cage is Liquid, so then who would you have be Solid?
That's tough. Basically, Shiroi, it's actually a legit question because there's a Metal Gear Solid live-action film in development
I
right
might
now.
have an answer,
so.
but I don't want to say it. God,
Okay.
it feels wrong me saying
No,
it.
go on, just say it.
Chris Pratt.
Okay, I'm not really sure.
it.
I don't get it either. What's your reasoning?
Physique and potentially giving the more serious role. He's not always the jokester when it comes to his roles.
I guess.
Yes. Okay, when I think Chris Pratt, I think he's a little too stocky to be Snake. Like, when I think of Snake, well, okay, granted he could work out for the role, but...
The sad part is that if it wasn't for the fact that he's too old for it by this point, I could totally see Jack Nicholson as Snake, but unfortunately that's
Oh god, yeah, that's actually a good one. Jack Nicholson.
Like, if we could somehow de-age Jack Nicholson to be in his 30s again, I would totally put him as Solid Snake.
And Pedro, may I introduce you to digital de-aging?
I guess.
Now, granted, it's just a matter of if he... But yeah, honestly, yeah, now that you mention it, Jack Nicholson does seem like a good fit, especially in his prime to play Solid Snake.
The thing about it is that, okay, outside of two specific examples, I don't remember him starring that many action roles.
Oh, no.
Let's see.
No, that is true too. No. But hey, that's what stunt bubbles are for. But he has the voice to pull it off. And I can see him even physically in the role even.
Definitely, yeah. Like, he definitely... I'd say he has the right physique.
As for the action sequences, again, that's what good choreography and stunt doubles are for.
Okay, have we ever...
Otherwise,
have we ever-
are gone.
Have we ever seen Steve Bloom in a live-action role?
No,
before?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
okay. If he has been, I have never seen him. I've only heard him as a voice actor.
Because he does have a good physique to play Solid Snake, and the voice is perfect.
Well, no,
Like,
that's that. I don't think anyone will deny that.
Also,
Go on.
if it's a matter of potentially de-aging as well, at that point, well, Mark Hamill, I guess.
Oh, sure.
Mark Hamill
I can.
Snake.
I don't know. I think I can see Mark Hamill more as.
Solidus.
Ocelot.
Yeah, definitely. Mark Hamill as Ocelot. That would definitely.
Yeah, that could work. It's pretty good at sometimes doing that pseudo-Western accent that Ocelot likes to go for.
Indeed. All right. Okay, so we just rappelled down. Basically, now we have to get around and put ourselves in a much better position that will allow us to finally take down the Hind front on with our missiles.
Shame he can still apparently track you even with that stealth suit on.
Yes, that is true. Basically, I might as well explain that actually. Okay, like I said before, you do get the stealth. The stealth suit is one of the many rewards you can get by completing the game on a certain amount, on a certain difficulty. Every time you complete the game, you can just restart, like because the game constantly loops into New Game Plus, right? And you can even change difficulties midway and everything. That being said, don't think the stealth camo makes you invincible, because like Jova just said, it doesn't work with bosses. So yeah, don't think you can just plow through the entire game with the stealth camo. The game thought ahead of you.
So Snake's got to do the in and out.
That being said, if you can get the bandana, which gives you infinite ammo, now that would be a definite asset for the entire game. That I would definitely recommend, especially when you're fighting bosses. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I love how the bandana even has the word limitless on it. And by the way, Shira, the whole bandana thing, the whole bandana of being, an infinite ammo equipment.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind because it's gonna be served as a nice little callback joke in the next game.
Okay.
Oh, right, Pedro, did you ever mention which is your favorite game in the series?
My favorite game in this is Metal Gear Solid 3. It's the one that I think is the one that again, it's the one that it's Metal Gear at its very best. Like the gameplay is and the story are at their most excellent. Like if
You have Stinger missiles. Now you have at least got a chance against the Hind.
Cool.
Only a chance.
Well, you are not exactly evenly armed.
Snake,
That
you're
Hind
going
is
up against an armed helicopter that took out fighter jets. The fact you're still alive now is a miracle.
That's a
Yeah.
grim analysis.
I've survived 2 Metal Gears. This should be relatively easy.
No, actually, how ironic would it be if it's not the Metal Gears that killed Snake, but a freaking helicopter?
It does kind of remind you of something else, although it's a bit spoilery from another franchise. Let me being the biggest thing possible. It's a situation where someone has managed to defeat insurmountable odds, in battling gods and everything, but because of kind of like of a distraction, him and the thing that he's using as a steed gets defeated by 2 Japanese aircrafts.
But
Very diplomatically.
to continue my response to Jova, if you ask me what's the best Metal Gear, well, okay, actually, no, never mind. Let me rephrase my response, actually. If you ask me what's my personal favorite game in the series, I will pick Metal Gear Solid 4, and the main reason being because I'm a sucker for the sake of everybody in the audience understanding, Avengers Endgame type of finales. Basically, I'm a sucker.
Yeah.
That's why, unlike a lot of people, my favorite God of War game of the original trilogy is God of War 3 rather than 2, unlike most people.
I can absolutely get having Metal Gear Solid 4 as your favorite overall, especially if you like you said, Avengers Endgame-esque scenarios, very good payoffs overall,
Yeah.
and just some of the most awesome culminations here, like
That's why. But if you ask me, what's the best game in the series, regardless of my preferences, then I would say 3 because it's the one where the gameplay and the story are at their zenith, working perfectly together to create an unforgettable experience. Metal Gear Solid 3 is easily top 5 games ever, best games ever made in my mind, easily.
I'll say this: I think my favorite part of Metal Gear Solid 4 is during, that one big fight where we bring back
Jova.
from Metal Gear Solid 1 to fight.
Joe, I know exactly what you mean. The entire Act 4 of Metal Gear Solid 4, as far as I'm concerned, is a fucking masterpiece in fan service.
It really is.
Like seriously. Anyway, that being said, fun fact actually, since we're talking about MGS4, in the special Blu-ray that comes with the collector's edition of MGS5, I own it. There's some interviews with some people who are big fans of Metal Gear, including Troy Baker himself, who you remember voices Ocelot in the final game. He even said, they're even saying what their favorite boss battles are, and Troy Baker specifically said that his favorite boss battle is the final, and he said, and I quote him, and I know I'm not alone on this, the final boss battle of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah, look. For all of its shortcomings, Metal Gear Solid 4 is that kind of game where it does have massive shortcomings, but it also has incredibly massive highs.
It's one of those things.
Really do help balance.
It's one of those. It's one of those things where objectively it's not a good game because it's 70% cutscenes. And yes, that is completely true. And by all means, and every time someone says that to me, oh, hold on.
That jingle was different.
Cutscene. I'll continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't sound like anything.
Hello?
Don't shoot!
Oh god, Otacon! You scared the crap out of me.
Otacon.
How'd you get here? It wasn't as dramatic as your entrance, believe me. I'm afraid of heights.
And here you are, around the site of a vicious helicopter chasing us
I was
down.
riding in the back of their truck. Thanks to the stealth camouflage.
How did you get up here?
The elevator, of course.
First floor of
Nah,
the
I flied.
staircase was destroyed.
That's why I took the elevator.
The elevator was working.
I mean, if you could fly, why would you need Solid Snake to do the sneak?
Yeah, that's a good point. If the elevator is working, how come it didn't work earlier when we tried?
Like a movie hero or something.
Otacon is the bad guy.
You mean you didn't tell me to test the elevator?
In movies, the hero always saves the girl.
Not every movie, my dude.
Forget I said.
Have you not seen On Her Majesty's Secret Service?
Or Rambo too.
Usually I like to pretend that movie doesn't exist.
I mean, it's a fine movie. It's just the problems George Lazenby, and that's even worse than it sounds, because he's playing James Bond.
Also,
that's
dude,
important
have you
naturally.
s-
This is important naturally.
Yeah.
I was wondering if even soldiers fall in love.
What are you trying to say?
I want to ask you. Do you think love can bloom even on a battlefield?
This is foreshadowing for later.
I think at any time,
I love that
any
song.
place, people can fall in love with each other. But if you love someone, you have to be able to protect them.
I think so too.
Why is this starting to sound like a fucking confession?
In hindsight, well, Shiro, remind you, in hindsight, this is foreshadowing for the entire franchise.
Believe it or not, Shiroi, this is foreshadowing for the entirety of Otacon's story over the course of the entire franchise.
Stop down there. I want you to get it to move.
I mean, the franchise started a few games ago, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
But now it isn't.
Basically, remember, Shiroi, Otacon told us that he's in love with Sniper Wolf, so he's still hopeful that he can win Sniper Wolf's affection.
Okay.
The poor dude.
Here, hold the fort. Good luck.
You know,
You really look like hell.
Shiro, every time I hear "Can you fix it?" I keep thinking of Bob the Builder, and eventually it's gonna get to the point where decades from now, someone does it to him as a joke, but he gets annoyed with him. It's like, can you fix it?
No, I
Leave me alone."
bloody can't. I'm too old for this.
I'm 80. The only I can't even fix. I can't even fix my legs because I keep falling down the stairs.
Damn.
That sounds like a problem you should have looked at, my dude.
But yeah, for the time being, Otacon is gonna be fine. So let's just leave it
Oh,
at
Or
that.
even, or even worse, Bob. Or even worse, someone says that to him. Can you fix it? And I'm like, no, my wife divorced me. Of course I can't fix my fucking marriage.
Well, remember, Teo, because of that duality of, like, him being the person we actually are, it makes perfect sense that he would survive anyway, because he's supposed to represent us, so...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just gonna say who Bob the Builder.
Please pay attention.
Yeah, well, it's not like you've gone off topic on things.
Alright, to continue my response, it's one of those things, Jova, where people will tell me, dude, look, dude, this game is 70% cutscenes. It's literally just a movie with only 40% gameplay in it. And I was like, that is true. But I still love it, goddammit.
Okay, one caveat with Metal Gear Solid 4 is that thankfully the story that does take up a lot of the game is, for the most part, a good one. There are some issues I have, especially with a certain character, but you know what? To be fair, for all of its shortcomings, it makes up with incredibly cool stuff. That said,
it gets things right where it counts the most.
That said, I would not be amiss to a remake that, balances out the gameplay with the story.
Oh, definitely.
Especially since I do get the feeling that now with technology being what it is, they could probably sort of adapt a lot of the story into some more proper gameplay scenes as well.
It's one of those things.
Again, even for a release, they kind of would have to change some lines, considering in order to be cheeky with the tech, in a couple of places, the game refers directly to the fact that you're using a PlayStation 3.
It's one of those things where, as a longtime fan of Metal Gear, who started with this game in 1999, at the perfect time, right? Remember, when I first played that game in 2008, I had known these characters for 10 years at that point. So you have to understand. So you have to understand that from the perspective of a fan who was introduced at the right time and play that game at the right time. It's such a treat for that. It was a Metal Gear game made for Metal Gear fans only. And wrapped up 10 years of lore. And gave the Solid Snake Saga a fantastically emotionally satisfying climax that I still really love to this day.
Some people to discuss whether or not we will eventually see a continuation, when things aren't on fire at Konami.
Honestly, to me, I think the series... Okay, aside from remakes and re-releases, I think I prefer if the series just continues, ended at Phantom Pain. I feel like at this point, it's just we've done everything we needed to do.
I wouldn't mind a Rising sequel.
Oh, no, okay. Okay, fine. Okay, that Rising aside. But in terms of actual mainline games, too, personally, I think we're done, honestly, if you ask me.
Okay, it would count also as a Rising, but I wouldn't mind what the original pitch for Metal Gear Solid Rising was supposed to be, as filling the gap between 2 and 4 with what happened to Raiden and how he rescued Olga's shield.
Trust me, Teo. I want that just as much. It's just that in terms of actual stealth-focused games, because remember, the Rising series is an action game with what little stealth is in.
It does still have stealth in it.
Well, that's basically saying that it's just tacked on slightly. Let's face it.
Yeah, let's face it. It's a
cardboard box still. The cardboard box.
And don't get me wrong. I'm thankful that they put in the cardboard box because it's a Metal Gear game. You gotta have the cardboard box in there somewhere. But
yeah, Miyako, you're right. The stealth in that game isn't.
And don't get me wrong. I fucking adore that game. I would make love that game if I could, but it's still technically a spin-off. I'm talking about in terms of actual stealth-focused Metal Gear games, the mainline ones.
Honestly, part of me does wonder if we would have gotten another mainline Metal Gear game after Kojima had just had time to properly do Metal Gear Solid 5 and then take a much well-earned break from the franchise.
Well, again, mentioned that the idea his next project would have been remaking Metal Gear 1 and 2.
That was the original plan, to use the Fox engine to have his team, one of his teams at Kojima Productions, remake the first two so that they would be more consistent with the Solid series.
I don't remember where it was said, but I do remember there at some point being word that if they were to ever make a sequel, they would have apparently given some reason that Solid Snake is able to... Oh god, well... Okay, well, you know that thing he has to deal with in Metal Gear Solid 4?
Yeah.
Apparently there was some word that they would have found a way to work around that, and, you know, possibly do a bit of, how do I say this without spoiling it? Well, okay. Let me put it like this. They would have found a way to have you-know-who be reincarnated so that he doesn't actually die of old age, or sort of find a way to just rejuvenate him and all that. Because, base of the franchise and all that.
You know, on the subject of Hideo Kojima made games at Konami, other than Metal Gear, I should stress. One thing that I do actually find kind of hilarious is that you know all those games he did in between Metal Gear 2 and Metal Gear Solid.
Wasn't just Police Knots?
No, not that. One game he was involved with was one of the Tokimeki Memorial games. So yeah,
oh, was he?
Basically in between Metal Gear 2 and this, a game he was working on was part of a dating simulator.
That's not very surprising to us. His first game that he's worked at Konami was a penguin game, like a game with a cartoon penguin. So it's not
also,
like
Snatcher has a lot of elements similar to a visual novel.
Yeah. So remember, Police Knots and Snatcher, his two primary big projects aside from Metal Gear at Konami does, are very visual novel focused. So trust me, getting him involved makes sense because he's experienced in that regard as well.
Specifically, he worked on a sub-series called Drama.
Sure. Oh, isn't that like a Konami drama type thing? Kind of like Nintendo has their own series of visual novels as well?
Well, it's not a visual... I mean, it's on the PlayStation and the... It's a... It's not like it's an audio drama or anything. It's actually...
Sure. But just to... Alright, how about this, Joe? I'll put it to you in 3 terms. Best game overall, MGS3. Favorite in terms of emotional resonance, MGS4. Most nostalgic, MGS1. Oh, and best fourth terms, yes. Best gameplay wise, Phantom Pain.
I can't say I disagree with those terms. Like, you know, I may have different picks for each one, but no, I mean, each one definitely fits the.
It's one of those. It's one of those things where it's just like Phantom Pain is diametrically opposed to Guns of the Patriots. Like Phantom Pain has such a flawed story, to say the least, but the gameplay is so phenomenally fun and completely. It's such a perfectly executed sandbox open playbox game where the only limit you have is your imagination.
Now that I think about it, I think I've never really gotten around to hearing what you actually feel about the gameplay itself of Metal Gear Solid 4. I mean, I know I've heard about
what is there
about the lack of it, but what do you think about the gameplay itself?
What is there is pretty great. I really like the Octo Camo suit. That's a pretty good piece of equipment. It's really good. Again, it's basically taking the formula from MGS 1 and 2 and basically bringing it to its ultimate refinement. Like unlike with 3, where 3 had a more open environment because of the jungle, 4 goes back to the more traditional stuff we see in this game in 2, right? But it made sense because remember it was the return of Solid Snake as the protagonist, so it does make sense to go back to the more traditional Metal Gear gameplay. But they evolved enough. They still have some nice open and wide environments here and there, despite the game being more linear focused.
Also, Konami had a weird collaboration with Ubisoft because you get to have an Altair costume from Assassin's Creed.
Basically, recently I showed Shiroi the entirety of the subplot of Diamond Dog, and Shiroi really liked it.
Oh, did you show her any of the weird snake missions from Metal Gear Solid 2?
Well, that we're gonna save it for the actual playthrough. Really. But,
cool. So we are including those in the playthrough.
I was going to. I showed those because that game is much more gameplay focused anyway. So let me just.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Where are you, Liquid? There you are.
Metal
There he is.
Gear Solid 2 is the perfect example of a game that was way ahead of its time. A game that was divisive among fans when it first came out. Nowadays, it's regarded as a masterpiece because of its terrifyingly clairvoyant message.
I will say this. Oh my god. So
And we're
stupid.
dead.
Bye, Liquid.
Bye.
Nah,
fine.
fine.
Hey, at least the snake had the courtesy to look at the explosion instead of walking away from it.
No,
Yeah, that would be rude.
So there you go. There's no more.
Remember, Teo, only cool guys don't look at explosions.
That's a great one line.
Yeah.
I made that joke during our commentary of the core.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pedro.
This one was free.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. What was the line again?
Snake.
That takes care of the cremation.
Cremation.
That's
Yeah.
what I said in the core.
That's the weird thing. It just moved by itself. It's headed your way now.
Yeah, I know this game came out.
Okay.
That explosion before, what was it?
It was an explosion.
Take out that helicopter.
Helicopter? That's incredible, Snake.
Listen, I just want to make sure again. This is the way to get to where Metal Gear is being stored.
Are you absolutely sure?
Well, Dwebs, he's the head. He's the head of science at this. He was at least the head of science at this base. He's the best informant we've got for this purpose.
I know, you don't have to
I mean, no, I was just saying Snake was asking him if he was sure.
Don't try to be a hero or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, don't try to be a hero, Otacon.
That's my job.
What I was saying. Remember, Teo. Only cool guys don't look at explosions. And Snake doesn't consider himself a cool guy.
War isn't cool.
I'm sorry, Shira. Could you repeat that?
War isn't cool.
War is about to become the next water cooler.
Of course.
I mean, it's already snowing outside.
I wish it was like that in real life at the minute.
I don't know, Dwebs. I'm not entirely sure it's a good thing to jump from one extreme to the other extreme. I feel like something more springtime.
To keep myself warm than it is to keep myself cool.
We need to find a way to make it so that it's always spring.
Oh,
yeah.
that looks cute.
Now that sounds like hell.
We have to do like the premise of Islander 2 and creates a sun-blocking shield around
Yes,
the world.
but yes,
Oh,
but
please, though, please.
Wait. You do realize, Tio, that what you're implying is essentially similar to the plan from Highlander 2.
I literally just said that.
you see, Shiroi, we've solved the problem of the sun. Hold on.
Don't forget to say
I'm making it so that... Oh.
Oh,
Remind
Listen-
them that
listen
Big
here.
Man also did that in Sonic X for a capitalism scheme.
Hold on.
Binary numbers and send them through the air. They're not memories anymore.
I wouldn't be so sure of that. There's nothing my system can't do.
Memories aren't just sounds.
called
and
a memory
pictures.
card for a
It's
reason,
somewhere
Snake.
Between the sounds, between the picture.
I don't get it. Anything can be done digitally.
If that's true, why don't you go ahead and try to say what I'm thinking right now?
I can't save that type of thing. You have to put it into words at least.
That's right. And that's what memories are. Wordless.
I don't know about
Unless
That's
you're memorizing how to
very
spell
poetic.
something.
Technology advances, you'll never be able to penetrate the human heart.
that. You're wrong. It's
Well,
just
AI's
not
trying to do
a-
that.
That sounds so ominous.
Mei-Ling, are you secretly a Terminator, perchance?
let's just be optimistic and say Mei-Ling is the equivalent of that guy in every Pokemon game saying
It's,
the technology is amazing.
Remember, Snake is a very old-fashioned, sentimental type of guy, which is why he's not entirely on board with this whole new digital technology shit.
Spangles, you think you kids do.
Your kids in your interwebs.
It's literally being made smarter by nanomachines.
Oh, trust me, Shiroi. Trust me, Shiroi. He'll have to deal with that in the next game. But
Oh, Snake learns how to use dial-up.
trust me, Shiroi. Trust me, Shiroi. You don't even know that half of it. But just to finish my earlier point, you see, Shiroi, according to Highlander 2, we have found the solution to your problem with the sun. We're going to create a shield that will block out the sunlight forever. And we in no way think in no way do we think there will be any kind of possible negative effects from this.
Isn't that something that Bezos / Elon Musk want to try to do? It's one of them.
I think I heard that. To give you an idea, Shiri, among many other things of that movie, it was such a weird, stupid plot decisions that the movies after essentially ignore it ever happened.
All right.
I think Dr. Insano was the one who put it best in the Spoonie review. Yes, in hindsight, it does see it should have been obvious that completely blocking out the sun would start upheavals. And all plant life on the planet. But how are we supposed to know? We're only scientists, not fortune tellers.
Alright. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.